The third record, Trackin' in '81, that was a funky record too. I mean, there was a lot of up-tempo, funky tracks on that one. What do you remember about the third record, Steve?
Which record was that again?
Trackin', the third 5 special.
The third record. The third record.
It had Your Body Heat.
The third record, we was in some type of jeopardy at the label. They figured the label, okay, from what I just said, the label is looking at now, here comes the third album. We won with the first one. Went in. Now, the second album is the best album of all. I mean, it's so many records on that second album, but they got off to, they figuring out that they got off to a wrong start with the jam, Let's Take It to the Street and the whole funk thing, because we had another funk record on there to back it up called Choosin You, which probably should have been the first single. But the whole sound of it, they like, okay, the sound of it now, since we done went so many different ways, all in 2 years, with the sound of this group. All in 2 years. So for the third album, we might as well go, because the group is full of talent. There's no doubt about that. We got singers, mammy. So which way do we go on this third one? And they wanted, the record company wanted to bring in some other producers. This was the dilemma that we were in as far as how the group would sound or what's going to be the next direction for the group. I mean, the record company felt like Ron was doing a great job so far, but it's like a coach. If you miss on the second one, he's gonna be the one taking the blame for this. So what they wanted to do was bring in some other producers, namely Ashford and Simpson. So Ashford and Simpson and Patrice Rushen, who was our label mate. Anyway, at the time, Patrice Rushen was our label mate, and they wanted to work some inner label mate stuff going on because they was winning already with Patrice, and they had already given her the straight green light to do everybody. She was producing in line to produce Michael Jackson and everybody. So, but Ron Banks was a bit hard-nosed with the reins of the production of how 5 Special would sound. What would be the next move? What would be the next turn for 5 Special? He was kind of tight reins at the time when the Elektra wanted to incorporate some other entities on this third album. I think the only consolation he winded up giving Elektra on that, we had Gamble and Huff on the third album, which Gamble and Dee Dee Bridgewater was our label mate too at Elektra, and she wound up singing on a song with us called "Why Not Be Mine for a While," which was written and produced by Gamble and Huff. So that's far as Ron Banks was going with the whole Ashford and Simpson, Patrice Rushen thing, which is the way Elektra wanted to go. So what you got, so that's what you got on the Trackin' album, which was another good album. the production guy was, I think, probably slighted because we were no longer recording in United Sound. We did most of that tracking album at Sound Suite, which is where Anita Baker and Enchantment was recording over at Sound Suite, which they were getting a good sound over there, but not United Sound, the best in the world.
Still, I thought tracks like Your Body Heat and Lov-A-Thon were pretty good funk.
I mean, even Lov-A-Thon, that was the Michael Henderson. That was the Michael Henderson crew. If you listen closely to that record, you will hear Wide Receiver. I'm telling you now, do your research. For all you people out there, do your research. Randy Jacobs was Michael Henderson's guitar player. He wrote it. And I mean, there was some discrepancies there. Actually, that song Lov-A-Thon was supposed to be a Michael Henderson record. His follow-up for Wide Receiver. But things get channeled and through different the record business is really something else. It's not what you would think. You know, it's a lot of things that go on that fans they just don't know. It takes a lot of research and a lot of like kind of putting two and two together if no one comes forth and gives you the real skinny.
Well, so that's why you're here to set that record straight.
Thinking, it's probably true. Some kind of way there's some truth in it.
So they dropped you guys after that record. How did that go down, and how did you take that news?
Well, look at everything, all of the goings on in a 3-album deal that we were signed to. 3-album deal, which they don't do them anymore either. Nobody gets a 3-album deal. Either you just get they doing the one-shot thing or they signing you for a lifetime. Either or. So a lot transpired during that 3-album deal with some bad decisions with the production and just some bad career moves, like one, just really executive decisions that went maybe the wrong way. Like we chose not to do Soul Train, to go on tour with Michael Jackson. You know, we were faced with these type of decisions, and we didn't, I guess, we can, by us being young, we could, just sit back and blame that on the management, on these type of decisions, like a decision not to go and be on Soul Train in order to be on tour with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. I guess at that point, after I think it over, maybe the management was in a position and it was put to them like that. It's like, okay, we have a slot for you to be on Soul Train. If you can't be there, if you got to be on tour with Michael Jackson, then that's what you do. And that's what we did. So just a lot of things that transpired, the record companies in this, a lot of things transpired in a 3-album deal. And like I say, they don't even give you that much time now.
Right.
So we was blessed to even have the chance to go through all that, to even go through a 3-album deal. And like I'm saying, and now you get 1 album. If you mess up on that and everything don't look like it's going right, you don't even get a second shot, let alone a third one. Come on, man.
But where was your head at when it came to an end? What were your,
I was like, it's over. Oh God, what am I gonna do now? The girls ain't gonna like me no more. I ain't got no more hit records. Just a lot of stuff, all kind of stuff like that. And it's like I actually had to move back into my mom's crib. It was the worst. It's terrible.
Time to get those boxing gloves back on again.
It was too late for that.
Yeah.
Too late for that. I wasn't getting ready to go in there and get knocked out. I was still, I'm after a boxer always stays in, good shape, but I got a lot of choices to make at this point. It's like, do we get another record deal? Who's going to produce us now? Ron wanted to do some. He was stuck at this point because the Dramatics didn't even have a record deal at this point. And at this point, and then we definitely didn't want to be on tour with Village People.
Mm.
With the Village People. Okay. So we wasn't leaning towards that. We didn't want to, we had things that we could play off of, but we definitely didn't, the group wasn't, we ain't going out like that. And which probably would have been a good idea to go out like that because they was phasing out R&B. We was going to just stick to our guns. And our guns were being all the ammunition were getting taken out of our guns that we were sticking to. So it was a hell of a time. It was a hell of a time. The group disbanded. But what else could we do? And then me and Mike and, me and Brian and Steve Harris, we tried to, use the name for as much as we could use it for, and was playing clubs around the Detroit area, Detroit metropolitan area, just us 3 as the 5 special.
3 special.
Yeah, we was playing like regularly at this club in the daytime. We was playing this club it was a very famous club in Detroit called Axel's on 8 Mile. And at nighttime, Norma Jean Bell, excellent, very excellent saxophone female artist. She would play at nighttime, and she had a built-in crowd. And we just started playing in the daytime there. I think we played there for months, like about 6 months. It was like a check. It was like just a weekly check for us to come in, in the daytime and play during happy hour and sing cover songs. At this point, after having 3 albums out worth of material, me, Brian, and Steve are in this club on 8 Mile singing cover songs just to make a check.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
How did you end up getting more involved with George and P-Funk?
During that time, so I'm hustling sessions with George at this time because there's no P-Funk tours at all. P-Funk tours are at zero at this point as well. And there's no P-Funk records on the charts. Tommy Dog had done its thing. So he's hustling the studio, and I'm hustling the studio right with him. We got all type of projects coming in because he's not going nowhere. He wants anybody that wants to be produced by George Clinton. You must come to Detroit, and you must record it at United Sound. So everything is for that. That hustle just fell in my lap. That's my house. I was raised in that house. So anything that came through the door, we doing everything from Peter Wolf to the Eurythmics to Real Well Red, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Paul Schaefer, Prince. So I'm on all of them records all them artists I've just named, I'm on their record. So I'm hustling crazy. I'm singing at the club over here with Brian and Steve, and I'm at the studio with George. Bingo. So I'm still, maneuvering through this thing. And I'm still navigating through the whole, recording industry thing like that way, that type of way. And then I'm writing songs. I winded up getting a production deal with Don Davis, the owner of United Sound. He signs me to an in-house recording deal, which was pretty lucrative for me and my crew, because I worked the people that I've been working with. So once I got a deal, I used the same people, all in the same people, George and everybody. We made money off of a deal that I was signed with Don Davis at United Sound. And then from there, I was cutting some really good records, on my own, doing my own thing there at United. All the downtime, I'm keeping it going. I'm doing my own records. And Don was just into songs. He was just into really how many songs you can write and where can he get these songs placed. I found that out later. I'm thinking that the songs that I record on my own, he was interested in putting them out on me as an artist. But that wasn't the deal. Like I said, I found that out later. So the songs that I was doing was so good, I flipped over to a label that was interested in putting out records, which was Westbound, another Detroit label. I didn't have to go far at all. And so I ended up signing a record deal with Westbound. I was on Westbound Records, the label that put Funkadelic on the map.
Yeah.
So I felt some type of prestige there. And actually, he had he had put out records. He had the Ohio Players and the Detroit Emeralds. and his gospel label was filled with people.
Junie did his records too.
Yeah. I wound up doing a lot of gospel sessions, waiting for my record to come out. I did tons of gospel. I did the Clark sisters, Tricky Clark, them, and Reverend Thomas on his stuff. And I did a Grady Fuzzy Haskins record too. Fuzzy Haskins, because he was my label mate at Westbound. And like I say, the Detroit Emeralds, the Fantastic Four was actually still signed, but they wasn't active at all.
What year about are we at now, Steve?
With the Westbound
Yeah.
deal, the Westbound deal was, damn. What year did the Westbound that Snoop Dogg record came out? It's a Doggy Dog World, because I was singing with the Dramatics, and we did the record with Snoop Dogg. It's a Doggy Dog World.
Well, Snoop's first record was around 1990.
90.
In that area.
Yeah, it was right in there. That's when we talking about. Because as my voice appears in that video, in Snoop's video, it's a Doggy Dog World. It's not my face. That's another guy in the video. But it's my voice on the. I'm in court now with these people because they gotta pay me. They're giving the dude whose face in the video performance royalties, but they got to pay me performance royalties for the video because it's my voice on the soundtrack. So they got that all screwed up. So anyway, where was we at?
Well, when did you first start doing shows with P-Funk though?
I first started doing shows with P-Funk in 1970. No, I started touring with them, and when did you say that Snoop record was out?
Around 90.
92. I started touring with George, because I started touring with him when I was still signed with Westbound. Because I finished the album at Westbound, and Westbound Records, they felt like it would be good for me to go on tour with George as an opening act. And that's how I started touring with George. I used to come out first. I had tour support from the record label, so I was able to bring my cats out from Detroit. And I did some gigs. George was just starting to tour again after Lollapalooza. He was starting to do his own dates. And Westbound figured it would be a good idea for me to go on tour with George and open his shows. That's how it all started.
Yes, I think the first time I saw you with them was definitely in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like doing shows with George and P-Funk?
As an opening act?
Well, how long did that last before you started being part of Parliament-Funkadelic?
That lasted all of 1 year. I mean, because they did, Westbound did a 6-month campaign on my record, Even Steven was the single, which was getting a lot of play in Detroit and around Ohio, Toledo, and Dayton, and Cincinnati. It was starting to spread in a southerly direction. But George's tours were going on the eastern seacoast and western coast. And westbound didn't really have like the radio connections on the East Coast and the West Coast like they had in the Midwest and through the South.
So you worked out for a year, and then George said, "Hey, just come play with us."
Yeah, he was like, "You can just sing with me if you want to."
What was it like hanging with and playing with, Gary Scheider and, the band at that time?
Well, by that time, I had already done all of these sessions and sing on all of these Prince records. Oh, I left Prince out. Prince, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I had done all of these records with them in the studio, but never was touring because I was in a touring group, the Five Special. The Dramatics. Was already with a touring band, so I had worked extensively with Gary, George, and all of the studio people from P-Funk a lot. Gary lived at my house with me, him and George Clinton Jr. I mean, we worked that closely in the studio. So by the time it came, after Westbound wasn't really going after my record, they was like, "Dude, you ain't got to worry about it. You could just sing with us. You ain't got to worry about no gig or nothing like that."
Is there a P-Funk track on maybe one of George's albums or something where you think, or where you could say that your vocal is the most prominent?
It's a song on the Lov-A-Thon album that we did for Sony, a song called Underground Angel.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I wrote and produced that. I'm playing bass and keyboards on that.
I got it here. Yeah.
That right there. That's me playing bass and the organ, and I wrote the hook, and I think Tracy or somebody wrote the lyrics. And George had a single out called "The Sexy Side of You." I'm leading that. I'm leading on the sexy side of you. Let me see, I wrote "When the Flag Is Still There." And I wrote that song for George called "Let's Get Satisfied," but he wound up giving it to Prince. So it's a Prince record and it's a George record. But anywhere I go, I get writers for both artists.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey man, smell my finger."
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can you tell people that might be watching this, though, about that cast of characters in P-Funk? I mean, can you talk about their talent and about their personalities and about being part of that?
Man, the talent is off the Richter scale. It's off the scale. It's off the chain, man. All of the major players. I mean, you got somebody came up with a term when we at the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award that we just received, and during the ceremony, when they called us up, Snoop called us up You like to come around? And some people ran up on stage that maybe was with the band a long time ago, or was with the band, or said hello to George, or brought George some weed or something. And somebody came up with the term the 15-minute funk member. Anyway, you got a lot of those that come through, and they contribute, like I say, they bring this, that, or the other. But the major players in P-Funk, all of these people are super genius people. They never got their credit, or just do. For some reason or another, maybe personal reasons, or maybe the business or overshadowed them. But the major players, all of the major players, are true sheer genius. George knows who he picks. He handpicked these people and meticulously draft them into his funk regime or whatever, group or band. It's not, I can't really say at this point, or ever since way back in the 70s when they were with Casablanca, nobody has been signed with any record company as Parliament or Funkadelic. That breakup, shake, it ain't been the same. There really hasn't been no face that you could put with the name Parliament-Funkadelic. But stemming from that time and people who are still here, that's what you need to look at, the people who are still here, or the people who could still be here that are deceased and passed away. All of these people are like genius. I know this for a fact because I work with them like extensively, lived with them. I know these people better than I know my own family. And they know me the same. And the music capabilities are just through the roof. What you hear, or the performances that have been recorded and captured through the likeness of Parliament-Funkadelic, is just the tip of the iceberg. Real talk.
Yeah, we lost so many the past 10 years. And you really helped fill the void when Gary left us, to help carry on with some of that lead vocal responsibilities on some of those shows. When he was still doing it, though, how did you decide when you might step up and do some lead vocals versus Gary?
Gary was unselfish. The first thing I could say about that guy, one of probably the most unselfish one in the whole bunch of them, is me coming from a transplant from another situation that I'm known from dramatics by special. So now Gary didn't have a problem with sharing that stage because he knew I came from somewhere. I wasn't just like somebody just trying to horn in on his shine. So he had no problem with me. We worked seamlessly together. We pushed each other to heights that made us both better, and that made people see stuff that we didn't even know we had. and it made us develop a reputation of a level of vocals that is like really up there.
What's your favorite track to do with B-Funk, and how come?
I like doing Funkin' for Fun just because it's so much fun. Now I'll be having a ball singing that record. And it's meant for that. They wrote it like that. They
For
wrote it.
Glenn Goins originally, right?
Yeah, Glenn Goins is the lead singer on it. And they wrote that for him to just have a ball. And that's what I be doing.
And what would you say is the genius of George Clinton? How's he been able to be the ringleader of all this ingenious madness for all this time?
Well, when you put all of that genius together, keyword, which most geniuses are noted for working alone. All the geniuses that you know that are noted for their genius, they some kind of way work this out alone by themselves. So by George putting a lot of geniuses together, it's a lot, believe me. So his refereeing skills are just off the chain. He knows how to referee and delegate things in a manner where it comes out where all the participants are happy in the end. Because when you're working with a lot of geniuses, it can go like nuts in a New York minute. Everything can just go blast off in a whole bunch of different directions because there's so much there. But to contain this, referee this, and put it out in a manner to where everybody is satisfied with it is a hell of a feat. And when you can do that, I mean, the rest is icing on the cake. You know, for the people to get that and be able to digest that, however much of it they want to take in, or it might take like a lot of those records, those Westbound records, they just catching on. And some of this stuff might take 20 years to finally figure out. Wow. Incredible. One of the this is Val Young, one of the
Oh yeah, I know Val Young.
What's the name of their group? The Mary Jane Girls is calling in on this interview right now. Val, I'm gonna have to call you back, darling. I know what she wants.
So, you mentioned Funkin' for Fun is kind of funny because they don't play that track too much live. That's not one of the ones that's often done.
Not to worry. I put it on my new album, Steve Boyd Live in Austin, Texas, South by Southwest. I just released it. Oh, here you go.
Nice. Where can people pick that up?
You can pick that up like right now at the Funk Store, at thefunkstore.com. You can get this And it's a banger too. I wasn't even supposed to do this show. There was an opening act that was supposed to from Europe or somewhere. And they were supposed to come on before us, and they got into a car accident on the way to Austin and couldn't make the show. So they was like, hey, Steve, you want to do your show? And I was like, fellas, y'all want to do it? They was like, yeah, let's do it. We went up there and killed. I'm telling you, the show came out so good, I had to put it out, press it up. Because luckily, it was recorded. And it was a good recording. And I had it mastered in Montreal, in Canada, from one of my good buddies that used to work at United Sound. He works in Canada now at a mastering place. I had it mastered up real good. And it's banging, man. What you saw the playlist. Why Leave Us Alone is there. Funkin' for Fun, couple of originals. It's nice.
When was it recorded and who was the band?
The band was, hold on, I gotta look. I don't want to leave nobody out because I put everybody's name right there on the marquee.
You got to move it over a little. Move it over the other way. There you go. Yeah, there's some glare, but okay.
Okay, who's on the album? Damn, where's my reading glasses? I don't want to leave anybody out because it's some people that's on here that's not with us, not in George's band anymore. So the band for this show was Kendra Foster, Danny Bedrosian, Lodge Curry, Benny Cowan, Greg Thomas, Clip Payne, Michael Hampton, Rico Lewis, and Paul Hill.
Well, that's why it's so good between you and them, man. That's like
you see what I'm saying?
that's like the 420 crew. Yeah.
We killed them, dude.
I got to cop that myself. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you got to get this one, man.
So, what else are you up to right now, Steve? What can we look for from Steve Boyd in the next year?
Well, right now I'm in the studio, man. I'm on one of those tears right now. Clip say, "Uh-oh, Steve, you on a tear now." He's like, everything you do gonna probably come out. But what I'm working on right now is an album for the Dramatics, a tribute for Willie Ford. I got about 3-4 songs that I was working on with Willie Ford. Oh man, now here comes this country band from Seattle. They're coming into the studio to record. They call it. I gotta call y'all back. See, so this is what I'm doing. I got the project for the Dramatic. I gotta finish that up. I'm working on the 4 Tops with Paul Hill. We just got that job from Holland Dozier Holland. They put us on this mission to produce the 4 Tops. I just did a song with Ronald Isley and Snoop Dogg. And I'm waiting on George to come into the studio this week for the new Parliament record. So.
Is that other one he's talked about for a while? That's kind of related to Medicaid Fraud Dog.
Related to what?
Medicaid Fraud Dog. It's like kind of.
No, this is not. This won't be related to Medicaid at all.
Okay.
No. And as you can see, during this interview, I had the Mary Jane Girls call, and I got this
They trying to get in the studio. I already know what they want. And I got this country rock band that just came into town today. They calling me to let me know that they're in and they want to come in tonight. I'm setting up for their drum session tonight. They came in from Seattle.
Well, how do you decide what George Clinton shows you're going to show up at and participate in? Because I know you have been like kind of sporadically at different ones.
As the studio schedule starts to beef up, I have to weigh it out in money, I guess. At this point, because he's talking about coming off of the road. So, at this point, I got to try to filter in the next thing that, could take up all my time, just like these tours are.
You think he's really going to stop touring?
Not in the near future.
Yeah, he can't stop. I think he loves it too much, plus the money.
Yeah, it's going too good. We're getting a lot of bookings now. We're starting to play bigger venues.
Yeah. So one last question, Steve. As you look back on all this, what is your most special memory from all the music? What really is an unforgettable memory or experience that you're like, wow, that happened?
Well, this is a double up. For me, Aretha Franklin walked up on me twice. 2 times. She heard my voice and just ventured. My voice pulled her to me 2 times. Once I was singing in a house. I was singing in my friend's house. His name is Harley Brown. He's a good friend of the Dramatics. He lives 2 doors down from Aretha Franklin in Detroit, over there in Palmer Woods. And I'm over there, I'm singing. We're actually having a rehearsing a song. And she was coming out of her house and riding down the street and heard me singing and stopped at Harley's house and came in. And the second time, I was in a session at United Sound. And this is why she was doing that record, Pink Cadillac. And this is when I had my little production deal with Don Davis, and I was in there singing. And she was in Studio B. I was in Studio A. She finished her business in Studio B. And I was on the mic singing, and she just ventured right down the hall and opened the door. And I was standing at the board listening to the playback, and I heard this voice say, "You fellas sound nice." And I turned around, and it was Aretha Franklin, dude. I almost passed out. You can ask the engineer. I almost fucking fainted. I couldn't believe it.
Well, when you get the ear of the Queen of Soul, you got to be doing something right, Steve.
2 times, dude.
Nice.
That's bigger than everything. That's everything. I don't care what else happened. That ain't happened to nobody else. And it'll never happen to me again. So that's it for me.
Yeah. Outstanding. Is there anything else you want to share before we sign off?
I don't know. I think I probably shared a lot. There's so much more. You can't share everything. We can't tell everybody everything.
Any chance? Well, you said you got Why Leave Us Alone is on that new record, so I was going to ask you if there's a chance there ever might be sort of a 5 special reunion of any kind. But
I'm talking to Mike Patillo and Brian every now and then. Mike wants to do it. I wouldn't mind doing it. It would be very easy, for me to do. It would be simple for Mike Patillo to do because he's still in the business and still working with the Temptations. Brian, maybe, it could be a little harder to pull him back into the fold.
Yeah. Well, that would be very cool, of course. How can people keep up with you? You said the CDs on the funkstore.com. Is there anywhere else that people can keep track of what you're up to?
At Facebook, I'm not on Instagram or anything like that, but I'm on Facebook. And the Christmas record will be out very soon. As soon as I get the horns, I get Benny and Greg on this Christmas record. I already got Lodge and Ricky Rouse on here. And I got one of my Detroit homeboys on there to play with Usher. I got him on the record. So the Christmas record will be out as soon as I get the horns on it.
Has it got some funky arrangements or kind of just traditional?
I'm letting the horns do their thing, their funky thing to it. But I'm singing it. It's a traditional version of it, and I'm singing it like Donny Hathaway with a couple of extra parts, and I'm sure that the horns are going to do something extra.
They'll have a little bit of swing to it, sounds like.
Yeah, so it'll be a good record, something that'll, last and just keep coming back every year. I'm going to put that out on iTunes.
All right. Hey, Steve, it's been great talking to you. I'm glad we could finally connect, get over a few humps with that, and get down to business here today. So thank you so much. And appreciate all the music. Appreciate all the music you've given us through the year. So thank you for that.
Appreciate you, Scott. Thank you for having me, man.
Hey, back at Truth and Rhythm headquarters. Thank you for joining us on another magical ride with Truth and Rhythm. Whether you're watching or listening, as always, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. Be sure to subscribe. Go to YouTube. Go to the Funk and Stuff channel. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes and thrives. Also, goodies here like TIR Quick Takes. And if you subscribe, you know what? You get the show before anyone else. It's free. If you love jazz, funk, R&B, soul, you can't miss it. Pass it along. Tell a friend. Tell family. This audience is growing, and it is a beautiful thing, all coming together for the love of this great music. Also, if you can throw us a buck or two, we could use the support financially, keeping the lights on, keeping the servers going, all these expenses. If you can help support the program, whatever you can give, much appreciated. Go to the funkandstuff.net website, and on the right-hand side of every page, you just click and you can donate through PayPal, credit card, whatever. Very easy to do and so much appreciated. And if you do a sizable donation, I will mention you on the program. Also, drop me a line. Email me at scottg@funkandstuff.net. Let me know who else you'd like to see on the show, what you enjoy about the music. Let's just kibitz and talk about stuff, talk music. You'll find that I respond very quickly, and I much enjoy the rapport and the camaraderie and the interaction. Always remember, this is your show, The True Music Lover. So for now, that's all the time we have for this one. It's a wrap. As always, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.